What the birds
Here we go then. We are live. It is the 62nd and final preview of the season. It is the big one as well. The FA Cup final. Manchester United versus Chelsea. This is Full Time Devils. My name's Gaz. Today with me, I've got Doc Joshi, I've got Adam McKola, and I have got Statman Dave. It is the dream team today. I'm not going to do a lot of talking today because I am well ill. So let's get straight into it and talk about complacency going into this FA Cup final. I have genuinely heard a few United fans talking as if this one is already won. They're seeing Conte recently. He's looking like a broken man. And they think that we are going to absolutely steamroller them. So let's see what you guys think about that. Let's start with Joshi. What do you think? Complacency going into this one? Are you feeling a little bit too confident?
No, I mean, look, I don't know who these people are because they clearly haven't been watching us over the last 6 weeks. Because you know, we've not. I know we kind of settled for second, and that's why we've been phoning it in a little bit. But at the same time, the players have had a few matches, especially Rashford and Martial, with Lukaku injured, to try and stake a claim for a cup final spot. Mourinho's brought in a few of the fringe players to try, and give them that opportunity. And I don't think anyone's really taken it. Which is disappointing because there was something there to play for. But yeah, look, Chelsea haven't looked great, and they definitely had something to play for with Champions League qualification, and they drew and lost, and that was, nobody was expecting that, but it was a pretty poor outcome and a capitulation against Newcastle. So I think that's why people are confident. I would say, look, you can't go into a cup final going, oh, we may or may not win it. You have to be confident as a player. You have to go in there, but you have to do your job and not allow complacency to seep in. Do your job, do it well, and just get the result. And I think we've got the players, and we've beaten them this season already when there was a lot to play for. We've got the players to beat them. It doesn't mean I'm expecting it. I'm not saying that we're going to steamroller them, but certainly we should be going into it with some confidence. The only question mark being Lukaku and his injury. How will he come back? If he does start, will he be able to sort of hit the ground running again straight up for one match? But Jose, he's big matches in one-off games. They're sort of his bread and butter. He's won 12 out of 14 finals that he's been in. So, history is there. He knows what he's doing. So I would say I'm confident, but not complacent. They've got great talent and they're a threat. So we can't let that seep in.
I think that maybe the complacency comes from looking at the two managers and especially their experience in finals. I mean, as you've said there, Jose with a great record. I heard someone yesterday claim that Conte has never won a final. Statman Dave, I assume you're the man who'll be able to correct me on that one.
Pretty sure he won some Italian cups in Italy when he was there as Juve manager.
Okay.
But
either way, nothing big.
But what point is sometimes they do struggle in games, these bigger games. It seems like they don't start with the right intensity, and it's almost like after they go a goal down, they switch it on and they start playing properly and playing the style and what Mourinho wants in a way. The City game was a great example of that, struggling that first half and then coming back and winning the game. So it is about starting quickly and starting brightly. Against Liverpool was a good example of that, actually, at Old Trafford, where United actually started really, really well. Of course, Rashford, destroying Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think that kind of needs to be the philosophy. It needs to be a really quick start. But as Joshi mentioned, the Lukaku thing is the big thing. If Lukaku's in, we're going to be a completely different side. We've seen recently when he's been out the side that we lack a target or a number 9 to sort of feed in and around the penalty area. So that's the big one. And he's back training, so hopefully he's back and then the consistency will improve for Manchester United.
He's a pro. He sounds like he's hungover, Dave. What's the hiccups all about? Right, all right then, Joshi, let's come back to you then, mate. Let's talk about Romelu Lukaku a little bit. McKola appears to have absolutely disappeared, so I have no idea where he's gone. So let's just chat to you two guys. Why not? More sense that way anyway.
Shut up, guys.
Right, he's back. McKola, talk to me about Lukaku. Would you play Lukaku in this game, even if he's not fully fit?
Listen, check this out. What a douche of a career, yeah? He comes to my house, knocks on the door, and then he looks at me like, I got a parcel for you, except it's in the back of the van, and I don't know which one it is. What a dick. Am I going to stand there for 10 minutes while we're live on air on Full Time Devils, the biggest fan channel in the world?
but you will tell us that story and waste a few minutes. And
yeah, of course. This is what's called about Full Time Devils. Anyway, Romelu Lukaku, I'm really hoping he is fit. Not only because he's been one of the best players this season, and it'd be disappointing for him personally as well if he missed out on the final game, showpiece final. It'd be disappointing for him. But also because he brings something to the team that none of our other options at number 9 bring. Marcus Rashford likes to run in behind a lot, likes to stretch defenders. He's not as good with his back to goal as Romelu Lukaku. So he provides us with that option. And I think with the way that Jose Mourinho has us set up, his number 9 is very important in that. And therefore, Romelu Lukaku is very important in that. But I think Romelu Lukaku has improved as the season's gone on. And if you remember at the start when he first came in, and you look at the things that people were saying about him, whilst there has been the odd first touch that you're like, oh my God, it's like bouncing a ball off my fridge. Even though it has been like that at times, I still think his overall play has improved as well at Manchester United. He's got his best goal scoring tally, and he's been a very, very good signing. So I hope he's fit and I hope he's available. And I think he will be. I think it's just been Jose Mourinho maybe playing a few mind games with Antonio Conte. We've seen it all season between those two. And if Conte doesn't know whether it's going to be Lukaku or Rashford or Martial, then it's going to confuse the hell out of him. So I'm sure Jose would like to leave it as close as possible to releasing that information, although you got leaks all over the place.
Would you say that this game is like the defining factor then to whether this season is a I don't want to say success actually, because I don't want to say finishing second and winning the FA Cup is a successful season for United. Satisfactory then, would you say that?
Was that to me?
Yeah.
If we win an FA Cup, I love the FA Cup personally. If we win the FA Cup, I'm always satisfied. But like I said before, with Manchester United and the whole, when you look at the whole of the bigger picture, Louis van Gaal got sacked when he won the FA Cup. So an FA Cup obviously doesn't mean success in the club's eyes, and as a whole to the fans, it doesn't mean success either. We've still got people having little moans. Even myself, I'm not happy with everything. So it doesn't mean a successful season, because you still look at it and think we've progressed regardless of whether we win it or not. But it just gives that nice little sweetener to the end of it, and it leaves everyone bouncing into pre-season and next season rather than feeling that crappy feeling that you can feel.
Dave, defining factor of a satisfying season?
I think it's been a good season. I think the progress is there. I think the improvement is within the squad. The likes of Lukaku massively improved, Lingard's improved, De Gea's even better. So I think it's been a good season. It's been a season of improvement, but a season where United haven't hit what they needed to hit, which is winning the Premier League. So that'll be about next season. So it's all about the building blocks, and I think what Mourinho is doing, the signings he's making, and the sort of decisions he's making are absolutely fine. And next season will be better. New signings coming in. Maybe some new sort of thought in the sort of dressing room. We've seen a lot of movement. Potentially Javier Zanetti's coming in at number 2. It could be interesting to see how that changes the style of football in the second thing.
What did you just say then? Javier Zanetti's coming in at number 2? When did that one come out? I'm actually being serious here.
Do you remember there was rumours about Kieran McKenna being it? And as always with Jose Mourinho, rumours of a young English lad coming through for the older foreign lad that he knows very well.
That's quite exciting about Javier Zanetti, though. That's the first time I've heard about that. Let's hope it happens. Joshi, do you have anything to add then about the FA Cup final and how it'll affect our season as a whole?
No, look, I think a bit of a mix. I think it's really important. I think this is a huge game for Mourinho, given his sort of narrative, the rhetoric rather that he comes out with. This will give him an opportunity to say, look, I've got another bit of silverware under my belt, despite not having a full squad. This is huge for him. And yeah, look, no season is successful at Manchester United without silverware, and then it's all about the relative merits of that success. So the FA Cup, let's not beat about the bush. It wasn't our number one priority. The Premier League always is. But when once you've got to the point where that's not going to happen, then you've got to look at the FA Cup, and Champions League obviously wasn't going to be there either. So I, for one, am always up for it, especially the FA Cup. Any cup really, any match at Wembley is a huge event, and obviously everyone loves winning. So anyone who thinks that this isn't a huge game is sort of lying to themselves. And I agree with both of what Adam and Dave said, really.
So going into this one. What did you say then, Joshi? What did you say then, Adam?
you can't agree with me and Dave because I.
But you both made different points and they weren't opposite points, so I can agree with both of you.
Good work, Joshi.
Take that, Adam. Shut your face. Right, so going into this game, a lot of people talking about the midfield. It's looking like United are going to try and match Chelsea's midfield three. Is it pretty much a given that we're going to expect it to be a Matic, Pogba, Herrera three in midfield, or could you expect anything different? Dave, let's start with you, mate.
Well, I think what we saw in the Premier League was actually a 4. We saw Lingard come on in the second half, play with Pogba as two sort of attacking midfielders, and then you had Scott McTominay and Matic behind, and it really blocked off Chelsea's game. You're thinking that the two defensive midfielders dealt with Chelsea's two attacking midfielders, and then vice versa for Manchester United. United really stopped Kante and Danny Drinkwater building from the back. So I think it could be a really good way to see what Mourinho's going to do if Chelsea play a 3-4-3, go with 4 guys in midfield. If they go for a 3-5-2, maybe switch up and go for a 4-3-3 and look to hit them down the flanks. But I think, that battle in midfield is going to be interesting. I fully expect Ander Herrera to do another job on Eden Hazard. He seems to be a player that you can man mark. Even Scott McTominay in his infancy of his United career played really well in that game, almost bullied Eden Hazard. And it's one of those things, if you get someone on him, he seems to not be able to move, or his movement isn't good enough, and his ability is, he's quite insular when he's always looking at the ball, and if you get someone on him, it seems to be a problem for him. So that's what United need to do again. It's all about dealing with Eden Hazard in that central sort of attacking midfield zone.
Yeah, those midfield battles look like they could be a real turning point in this game. Joshi, are you confident coming up against the likes of Kante and Fabregas with Matic and Pogba? Are you confident that they'll get the better of those guys on the day?
Look, again, yeah, I think in terms of the midfield side of things, I think it will be Matic, Pogba, Herrera in a midfield three, and then it will all depend on what role Herrera has been given, and Dave alluded to that sort of man-marking role on Hazard, which will leave a bit of a 2, Matic and Pogba versus Kante and Fabregas. And I think, look, I'm confident that in a physical standpoint that those two could do it. Pogba since the turn of the year has, against Tottenham was excellent up against Dembele. I thought that was a really big performance from him, and I think that's the kind of performance he'll need to put in against Kante. And then Matic on Fabregas, again, he'll have to look out for those passes in between the lines, and that will be all about Matic's positioning and him sort of spotting the danger. So I think we've got the tools, and we've seen it, since the turn of the year, we've beaten all of the top 6. We've got the tools to beat this lot, and it's just all about how we actually start, I think. And Dave, again, said earlier, starting quick, that's going to be important. And I think that will put the pressure on early, start quick, get an early goal. And I think this Chelsea side, as we saw last week against Newcastle, they may capitulate. But it's all up in the air, really, because they do have amazing talent. So, you have to take that into consideration.
You're saying getting an early goal might help us, but to be honest, watching us sometimes this season, it feels like if Chelsea get an early goal, it'll help us, because that's when we actually start playing. Adam, why has that been an issue this season? Just we take ages to start playing.
It's felt like that for the last 5 years. Like, we wake up when other teams, and it's because sometimes we just play the football in front of teams far too often. We don't get in behind them enough. We don't have the runners off the ball that do that. And that's why I think when Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata play particularly, and they like to drift in between the lines and into those spaces, we automatically look like a better team for it, because they are those players that do that and create opportunities and gaps for other players. But it's been something it's plagued United. I don't know whether it's a hangover from the Louis van Gaal era, or it's Jose Mourinho's style of play, that we just don't seem to really get beyond defenders enough. I mean, our fullbacks always stop when they reach the final third, unless they have the ball, which is what I've noticed a lot, which is pretty frustrating. Or they cut back when they get to the final third, rather than getting behind men and looking for the overlaps. And obviously, there's been inconsistencies in Martial and Rashford. Mata, whilst he has been very good at times for us, he's not a winger. And it always helps when your fullbacks are the very good. And at the moment, I think we're lacking in consistency in those areas. We're lacking a proper right winger. We're lacking 2 quality fullbacks. And until we get those, I think you could see an improvement in us. But I think you need a little bit of freedom as well sometimes. But I don't know, Jose being forced to change from his original tactics. I know I made that point a few times as well, because Crystal Palace, I remember we were 2-0 down, and I know he made the changes, and he chucked, I think, was it Luke Shaw run, and he chucked an extra fullback on, and our fullbacks were really high up the pitch, and those were his changes that he made. But like being forced to just go for it sometimes it brings the best out of our players.
Just going to see what some people in the comments are saying. Governor Bandicoot says Lingard has to start. Of course, got that incredible record at Wembley. Pretty sure he will be appearing in the game. Asley Joe says Justin Cliver in. I'm guessing that's talking about the assistant manager's position. Who else is there? Mohammed. No, is it not? No. All right, okay.
Justin Cliver.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Justin Cliver. Sorry, stupid. Other comments. Mohammed Zakaria says Lukaku brings pace and physical ability to the team. I think he brings a lot more than that, mate, as well. He's a very, very intelligent footballer, is Romelu Lukaku. Don Marsh says, I reckon Jose will match Chelsea's formation. I think that's definitely going to be happening in midfield. I mean, we're talking about the midfielders then. We've listed 4 of the best midfielders in the world there, or on their day, I think, anyway. Kante, Fabregas, Matic, Pogba. They can be absolutely world class on the day, so it's going to be a very interesting game. Right, we're going to be getting an ad break dead quick now. So if you're watching this live, you're probably not going to get it. If you're not, you probably are. We'll be back in a second either way. And we are back. Right, so let's get into talking about the starting 11s going into this one. I imagine that a lot of you guys are going to have similar starting 11s. Maybe the defence is where the debate comes here. So let's start with Adam. Who are you going to play for this one?
One sec.
All right, let's not start with Adam then. Let's start with Joshi.
No,
right, shut up. Joshi, you go first.
I think it's De Gea in goal. I know Romero started a few of the FA Cup matches, but I think it will be De Gea in net. This is a predicted 11, so Valencia and Young at fullback positions. I think he'll start Smalling, and Smalling's got a little bit to prove, having been left out of the England World Cup squad. I think the other centre-back partnership is probably the other centre-back in the partnership is the main sort of decision to be made at the back, I think. And I think I've gone with Phil Jones, but it really could be anyone. You can't really tell with Jose other than Smalling. We've already discussed the midfield 3, and I think it will be a midfield 3 of Matic, Herrera, Pogba. Then you have Sanchez on the left, Lukaku up top if fit, and I think he will be. And then this is the other decision as to who he plays, whether it'll be. I think it'll be either Lingard or Mata. I went for Mata because of his ability to find space, his eye for a pass, and he does link up well with Herrera on that right-hand side. So I have gone with Mata, but it could easily be Lingard. I don't think Rashford or Martial have done enough in the last few weeks to sort of force their way into the side, and that's partly due to performance and also partly due to the fact that Martial hasn't actually played, so he's not going to get thrown in for the final. So yeah, that's my 11.
Who are you saying, Adam?
I've gone with a team of this is my predicted team, not my preferred team. David De Gea in goal, Valencia, Smalling, Jones and Young. Oh, the joys.
To be honest, I do think that the only real debate here is that the defence position and the right wing position. I think that otherwise we can pretty much predict who's going to play. Dave, are you in agreement with the dudes?
What year is it, guys?
What?
Question, what year is it?
It's 2018, I believe.
And this is our predicted defence. Valencia, Smalling. In midfield, Matic, Herrera, Pogba. We went with Matic, McTominay and Pogba in the lead game, didn't we? But
that's not going to happen.
Get Herrera in there because I think Herrera is made for these games, and he was fantastic against Tottenham as well, as was Pogba. Up top, I've gone with Alexis on the left, Lingard on the right, and Romelu Lukaku through the middle.
Who are you saying, Dave?
Yeah, I think, mate, it's a similar sort of selection of players, but I think the shape might be slightly different. I think he may go for this 4-2-2-2 that he played in the league because it works so well. It really just stopped Chelsea playing through the middle. And United just had so many options on the break and the ability to press Chelsea out the back. But in goal, of course, David De Gea. Then the back four Adam mentioned, the top back four, Valencia, Smalling, Jones and Young. Into midfield, Herrera, Matic are going to be sitting. Then Lingard and Pogba playing as two sort of attacker midfielders, and Alexis Sanchez and Lukaku up front if fit. If Lukaku's not fit, I'd probably like to see Marcus Rashford come in. I think that could be quite a good option. We saw, a few seasons ago, what was it, the Herrera man marking job Rashford was really good in that game. So was Lingard playing together. So I'd like to see Rashford maybe playing with Alexis if, of course, Lukaku is unavailable.
Right, so we're all pretty much in agreement about the team. Can I crown Adam as the champion of the Starting 11 League, producer Chris? I mean,
could have did that in December, Gaz.
Far and away, mate. 224 points. Statman Dave second with 181 points. So there's no way that Statman Dave is going to catch you. But it's unfair, I think. I feel like we need to work out an average for next year because, like, I'm at the bottom
as well and get
per game.
Teams like
we
a
need
week
to
in advance, and he still can't beat me.
We need a per game points. You know, that's
next
how it should
season.
be
We need
done.
to do anyone who's done more than like five previews. Then you work out the average because I'm near the bottom with 9, and I'm pretty sure I've only done.
The only reason why Matt wins every year is because he's on every preview.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. The numbers game.
Dave,
Simple as that.
I've missed like 3 in the last month, and you've
Have
been
you?
for them. So
Nah, that's absolutely rubbish, that, mate.
there's only one of me and Joshi allowed on here at a time.
I promise that's not a rule that I put in place. Right, talking about the opposition, let's move on swiftly. What can you tell me about Chelsea? Key players, not the midfielders that we've already spoken about. And also the manager. Is Conte a big weakness? Because as I said before, he looks like an empty shell of a man at the minute. So, Dave, what can you tell me about Chelsea?
I think first off is Olivier Giroud's kind of moved into the position as a starting number 9, which is rather interesting considering they spent £75 million on Morata. I think what Morata did in the first game against United was really good. That sort of Cesar Azpilicueta ball up the top to Morata was a danger, and United didn't switch on there to that. So that's always a thing. If Azpilicueta comes out with a ball, it will look to hit the centre forward. So that's something that United need to be very aware of. But Olivier Giroud is Olivier Giroud. He has his good games, he has his bad games. But I think it's about Eden Hazard and dealing with Eden Hazard. Willian has come in and he's looked good at times, but it is, Chelsea do play it through Hazard. And if Hazard has a good game, Chelsea will play well. So again, it's all about nullifying him. It's simple as that.
You mentioned Willian as well. We've been linked to him next season. Can you see him doing anything this weekend, Joshi?
Look, he is a threat. Willian's got great talent, and he went through that run of scoring some sensational goals from outside the box. His ability to shift it onto his right foot and just whip a shot in is, I've not seen anyone do it better really in recent times. But yeah, Dave hit the nail on the head. Hazard is the main man. He's the danger. I think we do have to be wary of Fabregas in midfield. Like I mentioned earlier, his balls into the channels, his balls over the top. I think he's an excellent passer, so I think that's something we need to be watching out for. But those balls will be going into space for Hazard, will be going into space for Giroud, who looks like, I think he will probably start, which is hilarious. Look, they have got quality all over the pitch. Kante is a former Player of the Year. It's just they've had a poor league season, but they're in the FA Cup final. They'll be up for it just as much as we are. Even if Conte is on his way out, he will want to go out with an FA Cup and a Premier League under his belt. I mean, and then he'll be like, well, you sacked me, but I won 2 trophies, and he'll go with his reputation intact. So I think the motivation will be there. And I think the players will. This is the kind of match players will be up for anyway. Especially with 2 elite clubs like this, it doesn't really take a lot to get motivated for a cup final.
Adam, what do you reckon for Chelsea then?
Hold on, I'm just trash talking producer Chris in the comments. Thank you. Yeah. The one thing I noticed about Chelsea when they played us in the league game, and it's why I'm not like. Did Jose play that back 3 the other day because he's looking at possibly doing it in this game? I'm not sure, but they kept popping up in between our midfield and defence an awful lot, and that's why I think Herrera is important in this game. I remember there was a couple of times, and obviously the time when they scored as well, because they went 1-0 up in the league game, didn't they? Yeah. And they always, Willian and Hazard seem to find loads of space in between the midfield and defence outside the goal. So we need to make sure those spaces are closed off. The midfield battles, the key battle like we've been talking about, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, or whoever plays in there. If they can win those key battles, although I get worried about our defence at times, they do stick to a job most of the time when they are given it, even if they do look shaky whilst they do it. And I think, are they going to play a false 9? Or will Giroud defo start?
Giroud will start.
I think he'll start. I don't think we'll go the false nine. I think
he's always due a goal, that Giroud.
Yeah.
Like I don't fucking.
They might go with a front three of Hazard, Pedro, and Willian. They might do, but
Pedro.
But I don't know.
He scares me a little bit, Giroud, just because of how one day he can be utter crap, and then the next day he can just do unbelievable things. Right, let's get, for the final time this season, then, the score predictions off everyone. What are you saying for the FA Cup final? Is it a glorious end to a season? Joshi, score prediction.
I'm going to go 2-1, potentially in extra time for 2 United, obviously.
McKola.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
Go on.
0-0 all game, 90 minutes. I don't mind extra time considering we've paid like £1 million per ticket.
If you say last minute Fellaini winner,
why you got to bring Fellaini into this?
Going. Well, he's going to be playing.
It's going to be a Lingard winner. It's going to be a Lingard winner off the bench.
Anthony Martial is coming off the bench to score the winner in his final act for the club.
Imagine if that happens and he stays.
Yeah, if he stays, that's even better, but that's what's happening.
Buzz off that. Dave, score.
We're going to be singing. Remember against Everton when he bagged that winner?
I was sloshed that game, absolutely sloshed, and I did a vlog and we're doing another one. I'll talk about that in a sec though. Dave, let's get your score prediction first.
Yeah, I think 2-1 sounds like the one to me. I think United may take a early goal against them and then they'll come back and return. I'm just looking in the comments and it says Mac has a tattoo of David Moyes on his backside. Is that true, Mac?
Do you want me to get it out right now?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have to show us now.
I'll get it out.
No, that's not happening. Right, so we've got loads of stuff on the channel at the minute. We've got a quiz with Sophie Rose from Chelsea Fan Channel. Rachel Riley's season review is on there, and loads of match content coming up for the FA Cup final. McKola's obviously going to be on fan cams talking to loads of hopefully happy Reds. We're all going down together. I'm doing a vlog. Like I said before, the last time I went Wembley, I think was that Everton semi-final, and if I end up in a state like that, I shouldn't be trusted with a vlog. But it could be really entertaining. So look out for that as well. And thank you very much.
Which end of the stadium have we got?
You what?
Which end of the stadium?
We've got the one where Spurs were last time. So we've got the other side.
Not going to be outside Black Owl this time. Okay, forget it.
Thank you very much for watching any of the previews that you've been involved in this season. Guys, thank you very much for being involved throughout the season as well. And I've really enjoyed doing them. So we shall see you soon. Keep an eye out for all the content on Full Time Devils this weekend. See you later, boys.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Laters, dudes.